George, you have the gun.
I point the gun towards her. No funny business. No, nothing like you just did. Now you just stay still here, and we're going to take you to the pastor, and he's going to help all of us. All right? He's going to help all of us, and we're going to get through this. All right? And we're going to get through this. All right. But you are going to be going to the pastor, and you're going to be going now. All right? So get moving.
Tyler, you fall to the ground having failed, but Angelica, you see this all happen. It's so quick, but obviously you still have your own gun. What do you do?
I fire up into the air. I set off a shot up into the roof or whatever. Try to just get people to I don't know, distract them or get them to realize that this is serious.
You do so. You fire the gun up in the air, and everyone for a moment is startled by the gunshot. What do you do next?
Can everyone just shut the fuck up and calm down? We're getting nowhere like this. And Dad, honestly, I'm not going to pass the ward after what you put me through at that fucking church. Do you realize?
You don't need to go to the pastor. You don't. You can go wherever you want. Take Tyler. Go somewhere it's safe. That's fine. I just need to bring her. I just need her, that's all. She's the one who's behind all this.
I turn to Tyler. We could just go, babe. Just get the fuck out of here and go.
Tyler, before you respond, could you please roll your disadvantage?
Then that is a 12.
You feel behind you a force screaming in your ear. No! Eve! Eve! And you feel your body begin to move on its own. You kind of feel that it's not as strong as it's been before, but you do find yourself, if you go with this feeling, you think you're about to try and charge at George, try to get the gun off him. But you think you can resist, if you want. What do you do? It's clear what's happening. Wayne does not want this to happen. Feel free to roll willpower here to resist.
That's a 7.
You try and resist as much as possible, but you find yourself awkwardly just moving forwards anyway. And unfortunately, you realize very quickly, because you're trying to resist, instead of lunging at George, you kind of just hobble towards him. George, you see Tyler trying to come at you. Not very well, mind you. He's doing it very obviously. You have plenty of time to react. What do you do?
I begin backing away, and I point the gun towards him, trying to still keep an eye on what Eve is doing. Tyler, don't come any closer. I will have to shoot.
Tyler, you are in control again, but you realize that the opportunity is gone, whatever the opportunity was. What do you do, Tyler?
So I'm taking these lurching steps forward, almost like a puppet being operated by an amateur or a Hollywood zombie even. And then there's this snap where I get enough of it back, and there's that normal fluid movement, and I'm already incredibly stressed across my face. George can see how little control I have over my mental state at the moment. But in addition to that, he should feel the panic coming out of me. And I'm going to appeal to George's, if not sense of rationality, then self-preservation and urgency. This is all falling apart real fast, George. Whatever's happening here, it's going to keep happening. You saw the preacher, you saw what he did. And if he's chasing those things down, it's going to be me. It's going to be Angelica next. No one gets to walk away from this. I can't explain it to you, but this isn't the first time you've stepped into other worlds, right? It's infinite. The way that time and space fold together, we will never be safe.
No, we won't be safe. Not as long as people like her are doing the things that they're doing. And I point the gun back at Eve and I fire.
Well timed. After all, she was about to run. Roll violence at a -1, though, because, yes, you've just got the shot off in time.
12.
You fire the gun several times, and then it stops out of ammunition. that you hit. Eve falls to the ground, screaming in pain, wincing. You've shot her, George. You've done it. You've murdered her. Or at least begun the process of murdering her, at least.
The pastor can help. He's gonna give me my forgiveness for what I've done here. I've done the right thing, I say as I begin backing away and falling to my knees. Genesis, help me. Help me.
Tyler, in your mind, a voice screams, and for a moment, nothing else matters. You can't focus on anything as this voice inside you. No!
Oh no, that voice comes out of me. I am not in control enough to even bother trying to stop that. If it sounds like me, great. If it sounds like someone else, better. But Wayne can have my vocal cord as a vessel in this moment.
And you scream. Angelica, what do? You see Eve fall to the ground. She looks at you, blood coming out of her mouth. She starts to smile. She mutters something at you. Always told Wayne he'd kill us both. I always told Wayne Tyler would be arrogant. What do, Angelica?
I stumble towards Eve. I fall to my knees and I kind of cradle her as she like as the life is slipping from her. I can't believe my dad did this. I think he might be. It might be worse than I thought, with the pastor's influence and... I mean, my father would never have done this. Just... I get up again and I aim the gun I have at my father and Genesis.
Just as you're about to do that, you hear one last thing muttered to you before Eve passes. She says, "Van, the doll," and then she's gone. As you rise and point your gun at your father and Genesis, who again still is just on the ground, muttering to herself, looking very confused and startled that Dad actually shot someone as well, she has taken that into account, you hear outside the sound of vans pulling up.
I just point the gun towards them, having no intention whatsoever to use it. But I'm kind of back towards Tyler and trying to get him to leave with me. I want to go. I want to go away from here and regroup and think things over and just leave everything to time and then maybe we can sort something out. But if he's even, I don't know what state Tyler is in, but we need to get the fuck out of here.
Tyler, you're aware that Angelica now has a gun and she's trying to leave, but my god, the voice inside you, it is full of rage and anger. But luckily for you at least, it does seem as if despair is overcoming the rage, and you are now in full control again. Although you know the person inside you is not happy.
No, and as much as I want to leave with Angelica, I know that the odds aren't good between Wayne and I. I don't want Angelica to think that we're going to ride off into the sunset together, and then halfway across she finds out that there's a passenger aboard who can take control of the wheel, literally, in some cases.
Then you just stand there. George, what about you? You hear vans outside, and you think you can hear people coming in from the fire exit, maybe? But at the same time, your own daughter, Angelica, is holding a gun on you. What do?
I just look at her with tears flowing from my eyes. You're gonna shoot me? I was just trying to protect us. Protect our family.
Maybe you should have asked if the family needed protecting. I can't believe you did that. You're not my father anymore.
No. Don't say. And I just cry. I just cry.
and you begin to weep as men come in. Men dressed in a uniform that you're all familiar with, the uniform of the church security. One of them, the big fellow that you remember, Tyler, the one who searched you down. Right, okay, we're finally here. Nothing personal, eh? Just a bit late. Okay. What the fuck? She's dead.
I try to regain control. Yeah, it had to end that way. I wish you could have been here earlier.
Well, we wish we could have been, you stupid fuck. This, okay. Oh, he's not gonna be happy. And another guy goes, nope. Okay, quick, grab the fucking body. 2 or 3 more men come in. They begin moving to the body of Eve and dragging her outside. The other man then looks at you. He reaches for his belt and pulls a gun out. Okay, George, get your, let's get moving. Bring that boy with us as well.
Alright, come on, Tyler. Let's go. And I begin moving towards Tyler to bring him with me.
Tyler, what do? Several men are in here now, and many guns are pointed at you, and you're being told to come along. You do notice no one seems to be paying attention to Angelica, though. Not yet.
I'm despondent at this point. Everything's been motivated by guilt. And I know that Angelica just wants to leave, but so I got myself into this mess. I know more about this than she does. So for the first time, and maybe the last time, I'm going to make a decision on her behalf. As much as she wants to leave, I know I can't go with her. And I'll say as much. And I'm like, Angelica, it's gonna be okay.
No, we're not going with them. I'm not letting you.
No, you're right, we're not. They want me to look around at how many there are. You're gonna shoot your sister and your father and all of these people, and you think that we're gonna do that before you and I? Look, I got you into this because I was stupid, because I thought I could handle more of the world than I actually can. That's a mistake that I can handle, but I'm not going to let you do the same thing.
And I'm not gonna let him turn you into them.
As you're saying that, Angelica, some of these men begin looking at you, reaching for their belts. Hey, you! Put down that gun. You're coming with us too.
I aim the gun at them, their way, not necessarily a specific target, but more their general direction. I'm getting the fuck out of here, and so is he. You can keep the body, you can keep my father, but we're getting out of here.
There's a tension in the air. They do withdraw a little bit from you, but they remark, no can do, sweetie. Boss wants him as well. We have questions to ask this one. You sense that you might be able to just quickly dart away. They're not raising their guns at you. But you feel, Angelica, if you truly want to help Tyler, you're gonna have to start shooting. And you don't know if you can shoot all these people. There's so many more of them. Plus, you also notice that Tyler just seems completely despondent. And your dad, well, you don't even know what he's doing. What do you do?
I think actually I'm gonna dart for the closest access, and on my way I will try to grab the bag that Eve had.
You do so. You suddenly dart out of the area, grabbing the bag as you do so and running outside into the night. You see the men look at you with concern. They don't pursue. Clearly they don't want to get shot. In the room where you are, Tyler, you see Angelica run away into the night. George, you see this too. You know the main man, George. James Hammond is one of the main people who run the security for Pastor Ward. You see him talking into an earpiece saying, yeah. Okay, George, well, you're gonna have to deal with that later, but right now we have to deal with your mess. Get that boy in the van. And, Genesis, you can do whatever you want. Genesis comes to you, George, at this point and says, Dad, Let me have the gun, please. I think you've done enough.
I've already let it fall to the ground as it's empty. Take it. I don't want to hold a gun ever again.
She takes the gun from you and just nods. Okay, Tyler, get in the van. Tyler, you do notice that despite everything, Genesis' tone doesn't sound victorious or even happy. She sounds distraught, distant from what's actually happening. But what do? Do you go into the van? You're being led by an awful lot of armed security people now.
Can I attempt to read Genesis?
You can.
11.
One question.
This might be a ridiculous assumption, but I and Tyler are wondering if Genesis has also acquired a passenger?
No, you don't think it's that. As you look at her closely, it's more that her focus has changed. Her rage, this anger, is no longer directed at you. She's staring very intently at the man leading this procession, leading you to the van. Where's this anger coming from? And you do find yourself just thinking, Genesis, stupid Genesis. But then, doesn't Angelica always tell you she didn't used to be like this? It only started when she was assaulted. Just a short time before you actually met her. Apparently before then, she wasn't even into the church stuff, not nearly as much as she eventually became.
Did she just recognize who did it?
Maybe. You don't know. Could that be it? Could they have been involved in her assault? You do remember the story. She was assaulted by two men, masked, on her way home from a party, and then Pastor Richard Ward just so happened to be in the area and saved her.
I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe in blind luck. I have very strong feelings about introducing George and Genesis to the world of occult-induced insanity. I don't feel that same way about these people. Whether it's just enough to create a distraction or to actually do harm upon these men, I'm gonna do the most awful ritual that I think I know.
You have time to do it, but it's going to be extremely difficult because you're pretty sure the second they see you trying to cast a spell or draw a sigil on the ground, they are going to go for you. They are trying to get you in a van, after all. What are you going to try and do with your dabbler in the occult?
There's a poetry in this. They killed Wayne with fire. I will kill them with fire. And there's no need to do it immediately. This can go slow. I would like to... You said there are 3 of the church guards?
3 in close proximity, 2 more outside.
Okay. Then the 3 closest to me, I would like to reach into the hottest parts beyond the veil and pull out that stench of brimstone and that heat of fire and ignite them.
Roll souls, a -2. You quickly try and remember an incantation you were told, and then, of course, begin trying to draw something on the ground. You don't have much time, so you quickly bite your own hand to get the blood required for the ritual. This is all happening very quickly, and you see, as you're trying to do it, the men suddenly go, "Wait, what? Stop!"
They yell stop, and I say, "Go fuck yourself," because I rolled a 16.
Suddenly, fire draws out from a sigil on the ground, surrounding the area in a burning blaze. 2 of the men fall to the ground, screaming as they are set on fire. One of them tries to raise his hand to shoot you, but is, for the moment, distracted. George, what do? Tyler has suddenly awoken an inferno. 2 men are in serious condition, and 1 man is very confused. What do? You don't even have a gun anymore.
No, I look to Genesis, and I begin trying to make sure that she's safe, trying to back away from all this, trying to shield her.
Genesis looks at the situation, backs off, and then just runs, bolting for the same exit Angelica did.
I have to follow my children. I'll follow.
And you do so, running out into the night. Tyler, you look around. 2 men are on the floor in flames, but one of them recovers. 2 more men come in. They all raise their guns. What do you do?
Would there have been time to, I'm guessing that the ones who are on fire might have dropped their firearms?
Certainly. You can try and quickly grab a gun.
I will, and then I would like to quickly shoot the first closest person to me who's still moving.
Roll violence.
Oh shit, 7.
You raise your gun. You're going to fire. You're going to beat these guys. And then you're shot. It happened so quickly. You just look down and you see that you've been shot. The other 2 people have just come in. Roll injure injury. -2.
5.
Tyler, you fall to the ground and everything goes dark. Are you dying? You don't know. You feel arms grab you, though, as you are dragged out of the building, unconscious and on the verge of death. Angelica, you have run away from the building. You can see suddenly there's a bit of commotion as you made your way a little bit down the street. You see a flash of fire and screams. What are you doing, Angelica? You're on the street with a gun. You've got away.
I'm gonna run towards the car. I'm thinking... Oh, fuck. I can't let the pastor get his claws in my sister and my father, or Tyler. If he enjoys fire, why don't I just put fire to his church?
I mean, that would be poetic. Of course, you are going to have to organize that. What are you doing right now? Driving away into the night?
I don't want to leave Tyler. I don't want to leave my father and sister. But they seem so stubborn to not fight this, to go with to the pastor. And I think if they do, it's probably over.
If it helps your decision, you see in the rear mirror of the car Genesis running towards the car. She looks for a moment to a bicycle that you suddenly notice is on the side of the road. One of your own bicycles, of course. And then you do see her look into the car. You see further behind her your father, but he is struggling to catch up. And then you just see in the rear mirror one of the vans. 3 men dragging Tyler into the van. He looks unconscious, and you think you can see him bleeding extremely heavily as they drag him in. You also see some other men coming out looking like they've been scorched, and they're all just heading into their vans. What do you do?
I drive up to Genesis and my father and just wait for them to get into the car.
Genesis gets in first, opening the door, slamming it shut. She says, I need to find... I don't know what to believe!
What happened in there?
They've got Tyler. He's dead, probably. And the man, it was the same man! He said the same thing! How could it be him?
What are you talking about?
The men! And they were going to kill me! Nothing personally! He's right! Tyler was right! It was him! It was fucking James Hammond!
The attack in the park?
Yes.
Oh, shit. To be honest, I kinda had been... never mind. We need to stop them.
What stopped them doing? Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Will. He lied to me. The pastor lied to me. Somehow. Don't know how, but he did. He must be.
What's George doing?
George, you see that Genesis has run towards the car that you came in, and she's got in, and she's saying stuff to Angelica, who's also in the car. What do? You look behind you and you see the vans beginning to load up. They're beginning to drive off.
I need to get to my children. So that's what I will do. I'll try to get to the car. And I'll try to get in if I can.
And you can. Tyler, you briefly come to. You're in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. You look around. You've been shot, you think, it hurts, you're in this van, and you feel the veil beginning to lift. You see, clutching to you, the body of Wayne, clutching to you like a life raft. Looks terrified, his burnt corpse kind of clinging to you. No, I won't. We can't. If we go, no, I don't know what's going to happen. No! What do you do, Tyler? One thing occurs to you in this state. What would happen if you died? If you died right now, you just take Wayne with you? Maybe that would stop what's happening to Angelica. That seems quite logical to you suddenly. But of course, you could try fighting the urge to die. You could try living. You are aware that you're in this van being taken God knows where by several armed people. You got some of them, but not all of them, and you really are in a very bad state. What do you do, Tyler Edgerton?
I'm exhausted, spiritually and physically, and I still have not been able to shake the shame of doing this to Angelica. I thought it was going to be so simple. And when we were together in the graveyard, it was all instrumental. It was something I wanted to accomplish, but in the time we've spent together, seeing how much she cares for me and seeing how just honestly good and wonderful she is, it's all worse, right? I ruined a ritual, but it's not even about that. I've ruined this family, and I've ruined someone who I always said I loved, but honestly now I do. And I can't, whatever's going to happen in this church to me, I don't know, but they'll hound Angelica until the end of days so long as I'm tied to it. Am I being watched right now?
2 men are driving the car. One man is watching you. He has a gun on you. Curious. He's making no attempt to stabilize you, that's for sure.
The second best thing I can do in this case is die. The best thing I can do in this case is take these sons of bitches down with me. I want to lunge for his gun, and if I can get it, I'm going to shoot the driver. And if not, that's fine. I'm heading to oblivion either way.
Let's roll violence here. See how well you do.
And 10.
You grab the gun. You lunge forward. As you do so, you feel your wound opening. That definitely wasn't good for a gunshot wound. But the man, what was it, James Hammond? He does turn and blink as you shoot his brains out. The car begins to swerve and crash. What do you do, Tyler, as the car begins to upend on the road?
I'm liberated. I imagine the camera's in slow motion and you're watching the van. They're usually pretty top heavy, right? We're going to roll over. We're going to spin around. I'm not wearing a seatbelt. The man in the back isn't either. I've seen the videos of car crashes and I've tried to put people like this together. They don't usually make it even without a gunshot wound. But I'm smiling. I don't know whatever waits for the rest of the family, but for me at least, it's over.
And you smile as you journey through the front of the car as it spins, smashing through the glass, and becoming a mangled corpse on the side of the road. The car slides for some time before coming to a stop. George, you were at your own car. You noticed one of the vans driving off, 2 of them in fact, and then one of them just suddenly, completely rears off on the road, and in doing so, hits maybe a fire hydrant or something, and then just begins spinning and curving and falling. You see a body just fly out. What do you do?
I just look at it with incredulity. Was that Tyler? Did Tyler do that? I say it aloud so that my daughters hear it.
Angelica, you see this all happen. What do you do? All of you, by the way, can now hear, after a few seconds, sirens in the distance.
However much I would love to believe that Tyler would make it out of there, I'm fairly certain that he's gone. I'm not equally certain, though, that this will be the last I see of him, or talk to him. So I just keep driving away.
And you begin driving away. Tyler, you're falling somewhere dark and infinite. Someone is with you, screaming in terror, weeping, the charred corpse of Wayne.
Eve! Why, Tyler? Why couldn't you listen? You weren't ready. You were never ready.
I'm not peaceful, given what's happened, but all the emotional upswell that came from the fire and from dealing with the churchmen and now believing that at least Angelica's safe for the time being, I am able to fortify myself with that cool, calm logic that Wayne first saw in me, that made him open up about the world that I'm pretty sure we're about to inhabit together. The smile's gone. I heard the stories that Wayne told me, and I will need to steel myself for whatever it is we're headed into. But I reach out to that part of my soul that I share with him, and I say, "It's okay, Wayne. We both know that death is only the beginning."
He looks at you for a moment, tilting his head. Of course, we can come back from... And as he says his last sentence, he begins to disintegrate. He tries to scream, but he no longer has a mouth. And you just see what remained of his body, which, to be fair, wasn't much. Barely half of him was on you. Just starts disintegrating into nothingness. And you are now alone in the falling void. Then you see something ahead. It's not a light, but it's not the blazing fires of Inferno either. It's something far more cold and neutral. He won't remember much, though. None do when they go to the citadels of the Archons. But it turns out that your last selfless actions, in a way, did change your trajectory just a little. You won't be going to Inferno, Tyler. But sadly, Metropolis isn't much kinder. But it's something. George. Angelica's driving. Genesis has just fallen quiet, introspective. You're driving away from the scene. What do? You hear sirens in the background. The police have obviously taken notice of what's going on. They're going to find lots of interesting things at that site, that's for sure.
Having seen everything that I saw over there, and having seen what they were going to do with us, what the pastor's men were going to do, I feel like I've been lied to. But it was real. Parts of it were real. He helped me. He did help me. He did help me, I keep saying again and again. As I'm just sitting there in the back, looking out the window.
Angelica, what happens next? You're driving. You're in control where the car goes, it seems. What do? Do you go home?
The entire drive home, because that is where I'm going, at least to drop off my sister and my father. Tears are streaming down my face. I am planning to learn more and see if I can find Tyler again.
You arrive back home. Genesis leaves the car. She gives you a bit of a look as she's about to leave, and whispers to you, Angelica, "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I just didn't want what happened to me to happen to you, sis. I didn't want it to kill you."
I'm sorry, Genesis. You deserve so much better. I love you. I've always loved you. You know that.
Hi. She begins to cry. I love you too, Angelica. Don't worry. I'll make it right. I'll make it right. And she just starts walking off into the night. George, as you see the two girls leave the car, they're talking, you see Genesis walking somewhere, and then your phone begins to go off.
I look at who's calling.
Pastor Richard Ward.
I will get out of the car. I'll let it ring. I don't need to talk to the pastor. He can't help. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna go get my wife. And we're gonna leave this place. Because there's no future here. None. And if I stay, I will die. I know that. If he won't kill me, then I'm gonna end up doing it to myself. We need to go. We need to leave Phoenix. So I go into the house and I will go to wake up my wife. And hopefully she will join me as we leave our home and everything that we've built in this community.
Things begin to move forward quite quickly by morning. What do you do, Angelica? It seems your father is keen to just run away. He's able to convince your mother. She's confused by the whole situation, of course, but she does seem to believe your father that it's important you get out of town, at least for a day or two. That's the most important thing, but are you going to just go along with your mother and father? Genesis doesn't come back, you realise. It's morning now and she didn't return to the house.
What's in Eve's bag?
Some medical equipment, a couple of blood bags, some string.
She said something as she died.
She did. She said, the van, the doll. There was another van that she came in, you think? But sadly now that would be all the way back where you were. And that's probably crawling with police now.
I need to know more about this doll, and I need to know more about what happened. And I don't think I will be getting any answers if I go with my parents. Genesis is still out there. I just stay here, bide my time until it's time to find some answers.
Then you're able to convince your father that you should stay at the house just a little longer, just for Genesis to come back. And George, she's able to convince you of this. You'll come and get her as soon as possible, but you need to get yourself and your wife at least somewhere out of town. And so you will leave in the morning. The news comes quick. The great church will set on fire sometime late morning. Someone somehow managed to get in and complete a very good act of arson, burning the whole place to the ground. As you wait a day or so, Angelica, you'll try and sneak back when you think the police aren't there. But the van is gone. It's all gone. Of course it has. The police are investigating the whole thing. Again, it's on the news. Apparently, some renegade individuals representing a church group went on a killing spree. For some reason, a man's face, James Hammond, is shown in the news. Apparently, he was a serial rapist and murderer. Somehow escaped the background checks. Led a bunch of good men to their deaths. It's all clearly nonsense, but the police are happy to believe it. George, what was the first thing you tried to do? Did you just try and find a hotel somewhere or a motel?
I think we just drove as far away as we could. Just slept in the car. Just needed to get as far away as possible.
You drove and you drove. And finally you found somewhere. You did need to stop by the road at one point just to sleep. And you wake up and you see the car and your wife fast asleep. But you're not there. You're on some sort of stone road leading to the car. You're surrounded by darkness. And you see a man, Mike. He's holding you down. And then you see the pastor coming towards you. Oh, George. George, my friend. You ignore my calls. You get my loyal, good followers killed, and then you try and run from me. What did you think was going to happen?
I took care of her. She's no harm to the community anymore.
You fucked up, George. How many dead bodies were there? How many of my good men are now dead? At my church, George! You little bitch! Burn my church! All your work gone! Do you have any idea how much effort I'm gonna have to put into putting everything back together? All because you couldn't follow simple instructions, you stupid little human.
What the hell are you?
Oh, I'm the only thing standing at the gate, George. I'm the only thing protecting this world. Me and Great Bina. She's the only one who gives a fuck about any of you. But you just don't play ball. You try and do your own thing with family. Found families. Single families. Oh, we're not even related. We're a family. Do you have any idea how much stupid bullshit that is? But no, you don't. No, you don't. None of you do. That's fine. Well, George, don't worry. I don't give a shit about your wife. And I'm gonna try and find your little daughter, but she's good. She's gone. And the other one, well, fuck her. Fuck her too. I don't really fucking care anymore. But you betrayed me. I don't forget betrayal, George. God doesn't forget betrayal. Bina doesn't forgive betrayal of family. And we were family. We were family, George.
I have never betrayed you.
He begins to lick his lips, and as this man does, his mouth extends inhumanly, his tongue impossibly long. You feel Mike lean down. He has a dagger in his hand. Mr. George, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I should have stayed away from your home, but I could feel you were all in pain. And I can't not do what he says.
You can do what you want.
Sorry, Mr. George, no. Oh, Mike, shut the fuck up and kill him now, please! Or do I need to pull your leash harder? Mike looks at you with genuine sympathy as he plunges a dagger into your chest. What do you think to yourself, George? Could you have done this differently? What would have happened if you hadn't shot Eve? What would have happened if you tried to help Tyler? Tyler was right. You think Tyler was right?
Maybe he was. I was just trying to protect my family. That's all I tried to do.
And the knife goes in deep. And you pass from this world. And you are dragged by the very chain you forge around your own neck to a different citadel, the Citadel of Bina, where you will feel the powers of the Archon. You will return one day, but you will not remember this life. Your wife will wake up to find you dead by the roadside. She won't know what happened, but it looks like you got out of the car and just took your own life. and this will devastate her for the rest of her life. Angelica, you don't know where Genesis is. Your mum phones you up and tells you your dad is dead, and it's just you. You know the church has been burnt to the ground. Apparently, Pastor Richard Ward was inside. Sounds good, right? The news is saying he's dead. But you just know in your heart that's not true. What do you do with your next days? What do you do with the rest of your life?
I just stay at home, trying to feel the atmosphere of the house, to remember all the good times we did have. It was a loving family, and I mean, me and my sister, we were really close, and Mom and Dad were happy here. And then I leave, and I just take to the roads, drive wherever I can, trying to find someone that can teach me more, can help me summon visions and banishing visions and talking to spirits. I think I need some more answers, and I will go wherever the quest for answers take me.
You make good your leaving of the house, noticing as you do cars pulling up, but you manage to avoid them. You know what's happened. You know you won't be safe in Phoenix, but maybe somewhere else. Maybe you will find the answers you need. One thing for sure, your life will never be the same. You don't know what happens to Genesis, but maybe one day you'll be able to find her. It makes sense to you that she's in a similar situation. And your poor mum, well, for now she'll just be destitute and unhappy, not knowing where her daughters are, and her husband dead. Your family has been broken, destroyed. But you also dealt a blow to the forces of Binha. Her great temple was destroyed, a temple that you helped build, George, with your own hands and your beautiful, beautiful murals. Pastor Richard Ward is gone. Granted, he is not gone. He will simply take on another guise. But to make everything work out, he had to go. There were too many questions, and all the police involved. Far too many questions. But he will be back in another form. And he will try and find your daughters, but it will be difficult for him. He won't always be that concerned with it. He got the man he wanted. You, George. And, well, he got the others he wanted as well. All those in the thrall of Binha will be freed, but unfortunately, they will simply choose a worse thing. Inferno will whisper to them. They will not stop with their desire to control people. They will not stop in their religious fanaticism. They will simply become worse. Inferno is, after all, worse than Metropolis. In the end, human actions can only ever be influenced by the infernal and the heavenly. They make the choices. They are the ones choosing this world. And this world is slowly, steadily moving closer, closer to the highs of Inferno.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the scenario Judgment for KULT Divinity Lost. Judgment was written by Matthew Sanderson and was published as part of the Screams and Whispers scenario collection. This scenario has been sponsored by our friends at Helmgast. The music was made by Atrium Corsari, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Xabier, and Antxon for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible.
If you want early access to our content and to hear raw versions of our recordings right after we've done them, or get your name announced as a champion of the Red Moon, do check out our higher level tiers on Patreon. It's a great way to get more Red Moon role-playing in your life and to help us keep the show going. Thank you again for listening, and remember, death is only the beginning.